All right, guys, today is Saturday, and once again, I'm on my way to BioLife to donate plasma. It's a great way for me to earn some extra money. If it's something you're interested in and you want to help other people with rare diseases and possibly pay off some of your debts and save it for a nice vacation and or just save away money, you can do that. I'll put a link in the description box below and help you get started on your way. Just make sure that when they ask who referred you, you give them my name. So don't forget that down below. Today I got to do something I haven't been able to do in a while, and that was go get my boys their haircut. They were greatly relieved. Their hair was longer than it's been in a long time. And they were surprised by how much heat their hair actually held on top of their head, and by the weight that was lost when they got it cut. And it was interesting to them. And just try shaving your head for the first time. That's what you notice also. The weight that's gone and the breeze that you feel. I would never go back to getting to having hair. I shave my head twice a week. I enjoy that. It's kind of therapeutic, but also it's low maintenance, and I'll never have to worry about a bad haircut again. So that's why I do it. And my wife thinks that bald head is sexy. So anyway, so this is a time of year when graduation pics are being posted all over social media, right? You might be doing it yourself. And it was a year ago that my oldest son graduated. 3 years ago that my oldest daughter graduated. And when they did this, we did what a lot of other parents in Lakeland, Florida do, and that is we took them to Florida Southern College to get their pictures taken because they have a beautiful campus. In fact, many publications have listed Florida Southern College as being one of the most beautiful campuses in the United States. If you ever make it to Lakeland, Florida, let me know, and I'll take you there. We'll go look at it. We'll go sit somewhere and have drinks and have a nice long conversation. I'm serious about that. Let me know. But anyway, Florida Southern College has an interesting history, or at least the architect who is linked with it does. Let me tell you a little bit about Florida Southern College. It was added to the list of National Historic Landmarks in the year 2012. In fact, only 8 years ago, I guess. And it's, like I said, it's so beautiful. It's got quite a reputation. But one of the things that's brought it so much recognition is that it contains the largest collection of Frank Lloyd Wright architecture. Now, if you don't know who Frank Lloyd Wright is, I might be a little surprised because he is such a famous architect, long dead now, but he's built many skyscrapers. Well, not many skyscrapers. He's known for designing skyscrapers, churches, office buildings, commercial and residential establishments, and he's got a unique style, a very unique style. I'm not well versed in it. Architecture really isn't my thing. I appreciate it when I see it, but it's not something I've ever really focused on. But I need to tell you about Frank Lloyd Wright, okay? Because his name gets mentioned quite often. You know, his name, I still hear his name on different television shows, mainly like documentary style shows, all the time. And I'm kind of proud to live in a city that features the largest collection of his architecture. But he was a strange man, an impulsive, eccentric man. When he was commissioned, I think it was in 1938, to help start building the structures, designing and building the structures here at Florida Southern College in Lakeland. And what he did was, to help the students, in exchange for their assistance, he would offer them lower tuition. And he desired an aged look to the copper that was installed on the buildings. So to acquire the desired patina, he had the students pour cups of their own urine onto the copper. And that's really not the strangest thing. I'm just getting started. Listen to this. Okay. So, you know, Frank Lloyd Wright, growing up, he used to herd sheep, and he went to a university, I can't remember which one now, but he never even got a degree. And yet he reached such a high pinnacle of success. But success is not everything. Yeah, there's something strange about him. Really, really strange. It's something he couldn't rein in about himself. You see, he married a woman named Kitty, and with her he had 6 children. All right? But then in 1903, he started designing a home for a Chicago businessman named Edwin Cheney. And Edwin Cheney had a wife and 2 children. His wife's name was Mama. And somehow or another, in the course of events, Frank fell in love with Edwin's wife, and he began to carry on an affair with her. He was seen driving all over town with her. It was quite a scandalous affair. Everyone talked about them. So Frank and Mama ran off with each other, and he deserted his wife and 6 children, and she deserted her husband and 2 children, and they went off to Europe for a year. Edwin decided to grant his wife a divorce, but Kitty would not grant Frank a divorce just yet. I guess the laws were different back then. So he decided to live with Mama as his mistress, and their 2 children, I guess, lived with them also. He built a nice home, can't remember where it was at, but here's what's bizarre. That while he was married to Mama, and I guess it was in 1914. Frank Lloyd Wright went off to Chicago on a business trip. And while he was away, his butler named Carlton set fire to his home. And while the fire was raging, Carlton took an axe and killed Mama and her 2 children and 4 other employees. Yeah, 7 children lost their lives. 7 people lost their lives that day, and the house was burned. I don't think it was completely burned down, but Carlton was captured, and he eventually starved to death in jail. That's not where it ends. I know, it's pretty bizarre, right? But that's not where it ends. You see, Frank Lloyd Wright met a sculptress named Miriam Noel, and they got married. I don't know much about that, but they got married, and she decided to go on vacation one time. And while she did, he went to a Petrograd ballet and met a Montenegrin dancer named Olga, and he started an affair with her. Well, Miriam wasn't too happy about this when she came back home, so she set fire to Frank Lloyd Wright's home, the same one that was burned before. And yeah, that was his legacy. That was his legacy. In fact, his reputation was so scandalous and so dubious that he was actually removed from the roster of Who's Who in America in 1929. He couldn't keep his reputation in check. Couldn't keep it in check. So let that be a lesson for you. If you can think of any other takeaway from this, and you want to give your 2 cents, leave a comment below. Let me know. All right. The last thing I'm going to give you is that since I already told you a strange story, you want to hear one more? Here you go. Since we're talking about building things and falling in love many times over, let me read you a story written by James Thurber, an eccentric writer. You're going to like this. Listen up. It's called The Courtship of Arthur and Owl. Not Owl, Owl. The Courtship of Arthur and Owl. Here's how it goes. Once upon a time, there was a young beaver named Owl and an older beaver named Arthur. They were both in love with a pretty little female. She looked with disfavor upon the young beaver's suit because he was a harem-scarum and a ne'er-do-well. He had never done a single gnaw of work in his whole life, for he preferred to eat and sleep and swim lazily in the streams and to play "Now I'll chase you" with the girls. The older beaver had never done anything but work from the time he got his first teeth. He had never played anything with anybody. When the young beaver asked the female to marry him, she said she wouldn't think of it unless he amounted to something. She reminded him that Arthur had built 32 dams and was working on 3 others, whereas he, Al, had never even made a breadboard or a pin tray in his life. Al was very sorry, but he said he would never go to work because a woman wanted him to. Thereupon, she offered to be a sister to him. But he pointed out that he already had 17 sisters. So he went back to eating and sleeping and swimming in the streams and playing Spider-In-The-Parlor with the girls. The female married Arthur one day at the lunch hour. He could never get away from work for more than 1 hour at a time. They had 7 children, and Arthur worked so hard supporting them, he wore his teeth down to the gum line. His health broke in 2 before long, and he died without ever having had a vacation in his life. The young beaver continued to eat and sleep and swim in the streams and play Unbutton-Your-Shoe with the girls. He never got anywhere, but he had a long life and a wonderful time. Thurber's moral to this story: it is better to have loafed and lost than never to have loafed at all. That's all I got for you guys. That's how I'm going to end it. If you like this video, hit the thumbs up. If you haven't subscribed already, please do so. All right, I'll catch you in the next one. Have a great weekend. Bye-bye.